This book actually almost got me killed. I was listening on tape, and my wife and I were driving up to a wedding in upstate New York, and it was so interesting that I kind of lost track of the road, and I actually jumped the highway median into oncoming traffic. The biography of Einstein by Walter Isaacson could have killed me, which I think is a nice blurb if he wants to use that. My new book, The Guinea Pig Diaries, it's a series of experiments that I did on myself to improve my life. I got a crash course in all these fascinating topics. This section is on George Washington, because in my most recent book I wrote an essay about trying to follow George Washington's 110 Rules of Life. They're about respecting others, sacrificing yourself, and also not adjusting your crotch in public. So that was one project, and there are 9 of them. Another was to try to be the most rational person alive and be almost like Spock from Star Trek. This shelf is pretty much all about how irrational human beings are. Our brains are built for solving caveman problems. You know, if you ran into a saber-toothed tiger and your adrenaline spiked, that's great. But now you go into a cell phone store and there's a rude salesman and your adrenaline spikes, that's not good. There was one about outsourcing my life. I hired a team of people in Bangalore, India, to do everything for me. So they answered my email and answered my phone and argued with my wife for me and read bedtime stories to my son. And this was wonderful because I spent the entire month just reading books and watching movies. I have The World is Flat by Tom Friedman, which kind of inspired that. This is the Bible that I actually read during my year of living biblically. And it's actually my ex-girlfriend's, and I inadvertently stole it from her bookshelf, which is violating one of the 10 Commandments, thou shalt not steal. I read about 150 books just because I was going from 0 to 60, or as some people said, from 0 to 613, which is the number of laws in the Bible. This one is one of my favorite books of all time. Reading the Bible Again for the First Time by Marcus Borg. Taking the Bible seriously, but not literally. And by the way, here's like a little mini section on idiots' guides to the Bible and dummies. I actually do prefer the dummies' guides to the idiots' guide. I got very lucky when I read the encyclopedia. This is for my book, The Know-It-All. My brother-in-law is the nemesis in that book because he's a really condescending bastard. Towards the end of the book, I actually got on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. I got a $32,000 question about biology.
What component of blood is also known as an erythrocyte?
My brother-in-law, the nemesis, was a bio major at Harvard, and so I called him as my lifeline. I would like to phone a friend. And he blew it.
Erythrocyte?
Yeah, type it in. E-R-Y-T-H-R-O-C-Y-T-E. He didn't know the answer. So I humiliated myself on national television, but I brought him down with me. I thought he knew everything that I knew.
The name for red blood cell is erythrocyte. Yes. Oh,
These are foreign editions of my books. There's a Chinese version with an author photo, and the guy is not me. He's a Chinese man, which I thought was nice because they probably want to read a book by a Chinese guy more than some American guy. Look at that handsome guy. It's not me. I was obsessed as a teenager with Hunter S. Thompson. Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, he didn't know what was going to happen. He just got in a car with his crazy Samoan lawyer, where they rode off. I've been reading my son a book about why the zebra has stripes, and it's like an old folk tale about these sturdy sticks that go fly up in the air and land on the zebra, and that's how he got his stripes. And I am torn because it's a sweet, wonderful story, but then I have to tell him about evolution. It's this tension in my life between fiction and nonfiction. You know, I want my kids to have these wonderful stories, but I want them to know the truth, too. During my month of rational thinking, I read a lot about the illusion of control. We all believe we have far more control than we do. Anne Lamott, in one of her books, talks about the kid in the back seat of the car with his fake steering wheel and how he's looking all serious and like he's controlling it. And I think that is pretty much a metaphor for our lives. We believe we're in control, but we really have very little.